Welcome, everyone, to Lead Bold, Lead Better from Meetings to Momentum, presented by yours truly, Colleen Lichlider, owner and founder of Choose to Lead. Before we dive in, let me start with my motivation for this very webinar. A very important meeting, RE, Legos with Littles. My two daughters and I sat down to build a Lego unicorn castle. This went sideways very fast. The agenda was lost. The participants were immediately distracted by more important things, snacks. One of my daughters decided she was going to build a completely different design, a rocket ship. You get the idea. It was a chaotic mess with everyone being frustrated and nothing getting done. Does this sound familiar? It did to me. I realized that it was a lot like my corporate meetings. I chuckled and decided, hey, maybe I can do something about this. As I mentioned, I'm Colleen Lichlider. I am the founder and owner of Choose to Lead. I'm a former corporate leader with 2 decades of corporate experience, turned coach and development consultant. So I am very passionate about good leadership, which was the main driver for this career change. I strongly believe, and the data backs me up, that a good leader can make or break an individual, a team, a project, a company. There's a lot of power that lies in leadership. I'm an avid reader, listener, learner. I'm always absorbing new information. You'll see this by the different podcasts, readings that I've cited throughout this webinar. I'm also a very active meeting critic. The last few years of corporate, as I rose through the ranks, I realized more and more of my time was being sucked up by pointless meetings. And I allowed myself to get frustrated. And then I allowed myself to start pushing back and setting boundaries and protecting my time, which is really another motivation for this webinar, is to give you the tools you need to do the same. Like every good meeting, we're going to start with an agenda. And we should start every meeting with an agenda. You're going to hear that again and again. So first, we're going to diagnose the problem, the why we are meeting. Then we're going to dive into the necessity check, which is a simple check on, could this be an email, which is what we think about 100 times a day. Then we'll roll out my 3-part meeting framework, and we're going to apply that to our one-on-one meetings and then talk a little bit about larger team meetings. Now, please note that we are focusing only on the 2 meetings where I believe leaders have the most significant impact. I know that there are just a myriad of meetings that you are present for. But for the sake of time, we're going to start with those 2. So let's start with the real cost of unproductive meetings or bad meetings, as I said here. So the cost is significant, $37 billion annually. And that's just in the US. And I know that this unproductive meeting problem is on a global scale. That's a huge amount of wasted money. About a quarter of an employee's hours per month are wasted in unproductive meetings. And please note, this is not meetings in general. This is specifically meetings that have no tangible results. And then almost 3/4 of our senior employees are considering these meetings unproductive or ineffective. Why is this important? This causes burnout. It causes people to leave. It causes frustration. Let's do something about this. So if you're like me, immediately I said, what is an unproductive meeting? It's a very vague term. For the definition of these statistics, an unproductive meeting is a waste of resources, a failure to justify the collective time investment. So think about it this way. If you spend an hour and hundreds of dollars in combined salary on that meeting, but you walk out without a meaningful return, you've wasted time, money, and energy. We need a better ROI. How do you know if you're stuck in one of these? Let's look at these 3 flags or characteristics I've identified. The first is bad structure. This is where most meetings fail before they even start. You don't have a single clear goal, you just have a topic. And worst of all, there's no agenda. This is the definition of a meeting that could have been an email. We're eliminating these first. Flag 2, chaos, low energy. You see people multitasking, checking email, totally checked out. Or maybe just 1 or 2 voices completely dominate the conversation. If you spend 20 minutes on a minor detail, that's a time management fail that derails the entire hour. Flag 3, the final characteristic, 0 actionable results. The meeting ends and you think, what did we actually decide if there's no clear decision? No list of who is doing what by when. Then guess what? You've just guaranteed yourself a follow-up meeting to hash it all out again. That's the biggest waste of all. And I want to reiterate the term or the phrase, doing what by when. Who is doing what by when? It's a very important takeaway. We need to stop accepting these flags as normal. The rest of this playbook is designed to eliminate them entirely. Before we jump into the playbook, we have to tackle the critical question. Should this meeting even exist? Too many leaders hit new meeting when an email or a document would suffice. We can use a simple, powerful filter that I gathered from the Masterclass podcast by The Economist. It says there are only 3 reasons a meeting should be scheduled. Input. This is for gathering opinions, brainstorming, getting feedback. This is where you need that live collaboration, back and forth discussion to succeed. It's important to keep these meetings tight and focused, but they are essential in creative processing. There's then awareness. These are pure status updates or information sharing. This is where probably about 90% of your time is wasted. If awareness is the goal, your default should be to cancel the meeting and send an executive summary email instead. Also note, there are times when awareness meetings are needed, and we will talk about that following this slide. Then decision. This is the single most valuable meeting type. The only goal is to reach a final verdict on a topic or proposal. If you don't need a final decision, you don't need the time slot. Your job as a leader is to ruthlessly eliminate those time-sucking awareness meetings and reserve everyone's time for high-value input and decision sessions. Now you're probably thinking, fantastic, if only I had control over my day. I understand you are not the only one scheduling meetings, that people are vying for your time. So let's turn that theory into action. To challenge those meetings that others control or even that you control, you need some power phrases. Your first goal is escaping low-value meetings. If a meeting is purely for awareness or a status update, use these 4 tools. Start with requesting clarification. Be polite, professional, but firm. This confirms the meeting's true purpose. If it's just a status update, immediately move to suggesting an alternative. You are being proactive here, solution-oriented. Offer to send them your update via email to save everyone time. It will be appreciated. Sometimes you have to read the documents, so use pre-reading to ensure the meeting is spent discussing solutions, not wasting time catching up. It is a waste of time for everyone to be reading or catching up at the same time while staring at each other. And I would say this is the most powerful tool, is don't be afraid to decline politely. If the meeting lacks a clear goal, use the language on the screen to say, I believe I can best contribute by focusing on X project instead of attending. Now let's maximize the time you do spend. Use these two moves before you accept the invite to guarantee the meeting is a high value input or decision session. First, you use defining output. You challenge the meeting owner to clarify the final decision. You ask, will we be leaving with a final decision or a prioritized list of next steps? If they can't define the output, they haven't planned correctly. And please note in all of these, especially when you're starting to change the culture and the meeting culture, there's going to be some confusion. But after a few times of pushing back, people will be trained to start knowing if I'm accepting this person to a meeting, I need to have this information ready. Second, use ensuring input is needed. This is your personal boundary. What specific expertise or input are you hoping I can provide during the discussion? If the organizer can't articulate your specific role, you shouldn't be there. These 6 phrases are the difference between being a meeting victim and a meeting manager. I recommend to start using them today. Just like we needed a system to build that Lego castle with my toddlers, you need a strong framework for every single meeting. It's simple: before, during, after. The blueprint, or before the meeting, this is your Lego instruction manual. If you skip this part, you've already lost. Before a single person shows up, before a single brick is laid, you need to know 3 things. What is our purpose? Is it a decision? Is it input? Is it awareness? What is the desired outcome? What specific thing will we have at the end? A final budget? A signed off proposal? And finally, what is the agenda? An agenda is a step-by-step map to get from where you start to that desired outcome. Then there's the build. This is the actual meeting. The key here is active leadership. You are the foreman, and your job is to keep the project on track. This is where you deal with the participant wanting to build the rocket ship instead of the unicorn castle. When someone goes on a tangent, you need to step in firmly but politely and say, that's a great point, but let's table that and get back to step 3 of our plan. That's how you stop the rocket ship from being built in the middle of your critical project for the unicorn castle. You keep this discussion focused on the agenda, period. Finally, the checklist. This is after the meeting. The most overlooked step, and it's critical because it's how you make sure that the Lego castle doesn't fall apart the minute the meeting ends. You have to solidify 3 things: clear action items, assigned accountability, and follow up. You don't just say, we need to follow up. You need to know who is doing what by when. Repeating, who is doing what by when. The key to accountability. If you don't have clear ownership, you'll have to schedule another meeting next week and just rehash the same thing you've already talked about. Now I want to apply that 3-step framework to our one-on-one meeting. If you follow me on social media, or if you've heard me speak before, you know I'm a very big advocate of a regular one-on-one meeting with your employee. You, as a leader, are the single greatest impact on employee satisfaction. It is a very powerful weight on your shoulders. A regular one-on-one is a powerful tool you have to make sure that that is a positive experience. Please notice I did not say weekly or even bi-weekly. I'm stating regular. Regular means your employee knows there's a specific cadence to what you are meeting and they know what to expect. All right, well, let's dive into this 3-part framework for a one-on-one. Before, So, this is the preparation phase. The biggest mistake managers make is treating the one on one as their time for a status update. It is not. This is the employee's time, and you need to ensure they own the conversation. Your job is to require an employee agenda a day or two before the meeting. Send a quick prompt. Hey, send over 3 to 5 topics you want to cover, ranging from urgent challenges to long term career goals. This forces them to come prepared and focused. In the past, I've had a form that I've had them fill out similar to this, giving them a little bit of a step up to get their creative juices flowing. Second, you need to review pre reading. I would always ask my employees to send their agenda the day before we met. So I had time to look into what they wrote, what their challenges are, and start brainstorming how we might solution together. Don't waste the one on one getting status updates. Spend it solving problems. And finally, always prepare a single point of feedback. Have one piece of constructive or positive feedback ready to deliver, or both. This shows you're engaged in their growth, not just their tasks. It is very often that we go way too long between giving feedback. Our job as a leader is to develop our employee. A one on one is a great structured time to give feedback towards their development. During the conversation or the meeting, when you're in the meeting, your job shifts from manager to leader or coach. You need to lead with listening. We use the 80-20 rule. The employee talks 80%, you talk 20%. It's very challenging. My favorite trick is counting to 10 after they finish talking to ensure that they are done talking and giving them the space and time they need to process what they're saying. Always ask open ended questions. What's one thing I could be doing to better support you right now? Which part of your job do you find the most energizing or draining? These questions drive growth, not just task completion. Don't ask yes or no questions. Their default is going to be, I'm fine, everything's fine, and then you're not going to get what you need to lead them for that growth. Crucially, you must avoid status updates. If they start reciting a list of tasks, interrupt politely. I saw your update on the Trello board. I heard your update during our daily stand up. Let's use this time to focus on roadblocks or big picture items. What obstacles do I need to remove for you? Finally, deliver the prepared feedback. Be specific, such as, I notice you handled the client situation really well by doing X. That's a strength we should lean into. Use this time to invest in your employee. The final stage after, or the follow up, this is all about accountability. You're going to hear my favorite phrase again. You must send a follow up note within 24 hours. Do not let these good intentions fade away. Your follow up should have 2 clear sections: manager actions. I commit to finding you that mentor by this date, and employee actions. Your next steps are to draft a proposal or schedule that training. Ready for the phrase? Who does what when? Who does what when? An alternative could be putting this responsibility on the employee and having them send the follow up note. That is going to be dependent on your preferences and the employee's own development. Another pro tip: add a note for the next time. Keep a simple tracker, put it on your calendar with what you discussed. This allows you to open your next one on one by saying, how has that been going? That single sentence demonstrates commitment and instantly makes your meeting more productive. Moving on from the one on one to the many to one. So here's the secret to building a healthy team: you have to stop trying to cram 2 totally different goals into one meeting. You need 2 distinct meeting types. First, you have the stand up. This meeting is purely transactional. Its goal is speed and clarity. Here is where input and awareness comes in. It is one of the limited times awareness can be productive. It should be short, 10 to 15 minutes maximum. In my past stand-ups, I allowed everyone 1 minute and I would have a timer on the screen. And they would tell me what they did yesterday, what they're doing today, and where they're blocked. If you start having discussion here, you've already failed. It's important that if that needs additional discussion, you table it and follow up after the meeting. Second, you have the connection meeting. That is the strategic one. Its goal is culture and learning. And I cannot emphasize enough how important this meeting is for a healthy team culture. This is where you actually spend time on team building, talking about major strategic updates, celebrating team wins, even allocating 10 minutes for a mandatory break. I used to have go see the sun, go roll in the grass, go for a walk. This is essential for preventing burnout and building psychological safety. I would always start and own the content, which would be major company updates, and then I would rotate the fun and learning throughout the team to give my team members a chance of ownership, practicing their presentation skills, and overall connecting with their peers. The takeaway is simple. If your goal is the status update, use a stand-up. If your goal is to build the team, use a connection meeting. Never try to do both at once. However, I will say they're both important to have at a regular cadence for your team. Well, now you have the full playbook, the framework, the power phrases, the one-on-one structure. The hardest part is going to be getting everyone else to change their habits. Do this by consistency and practice. Please let's stay connected. You can follow me on most social media, and of course, connect with me via email with specific questions or scheduling a discovery call to dive in how I might be able to help you further. Thank you so much for your time. I sincerely hope that this was beneficial for you and you're able to take some action items away from this. Thank you.